It's been years maybe, or maybe it happened this morning. Either way, some small, specific piece of a conversation just resurfaced, uninvited. The exact wording, the exact pause before someone answered. The thing you almost said but didn't quite manage to actually say. Your brain plays it back like it's still trying to solve something, even though the moment genuinely ended a long time ago. You've analyzed the same 5 seconds from every conceivable angle, searching for a version where it somehow ends differently this time. It never does. The scene stays fixed, unchangeable, while your mind keeps circling it anyway, refusing to fully let it go. This isn't simple overthinking, and it isn't nostalgia either. It's something considerably more specific, with its own particular internal logic. This video explains exactly what your mind is doing during these replays, and why certain moments refuse to simply, finally end. Picture a random Tuesday, nothing unusual happening, when suddenly a sentence from a conversation years ago arrives, fully formed, uninvited, it's specific. Not the whole exchange, just one particular line, delivered in someone's exact tone, landing exactly the way it originally did. You feel the same small flush of discomfort you felt back then, as if no actual time has passed between now and then. You mentally rewrite your response, crafting the sharper reply, the calmer explanation, the version of yourself who wasn't caught off guard. For a moment, the rewritten version feels almost satisfying. Then reality reasserts itself. That conversation already happened, exactly the way it happened. Nothing you construct now changes anything that occurred then. And yet, the reconstructing continues anyway, almost involuntarily, without much say. Sometimes it's a conflict, replayed for the ammunition you wish you'd had. Sometimes it's something small, a joke that maybe landed wrong. You notice certain conversations return more than others, usually ones involving people whose opinion of you still, somehow, quietly matters. Late at night especially, when there's nothing else demanding your attention, these fragments seem to surface with particular, persistent frequency. You've tried simply deciding to stop. It rarely works for long. The scene returns anyway, on its own schedule, uninvited again. This isn't about being unable to move on emotionally. It's about a specific cognitive process, still actively, quietly running in the background. Psychologists call this rumination, repetitive, involuntary thinking about past events, particularly ones involving unresolved emotional or social tension. Unlike ordinary reflection, rumination doesn't move forward. It loops. The same material gets revisited without producing any new resolution whatsoever. Social conversations are especially prone to this because they involve unpredictable variables. Another person's reaction, tone, and unspoken intent. Your brain treats social uncertainty almost like an unfinished task, something requiring completion before it can be safely, fully filed away. This connects to something called the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks occupy far more mental space than tasks that feel genuinely resolved. A conversation that ended ambiguously, awkwardly, or without clear resolution essentially registers as unfinished business, even years after it concluded. So your mind keeps returning, attempting to finish something that, practically speaking, has already been over for quite some time now. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an automatic process, running quietly beneath awareness until a trigger brings it briefly back to the surface. Certain triggers reactivate it instantly. A similar tone of voice, a related topic, even just unstructured time with nothing occupying your attention. The replay isn't really about the past conversation itself anymore. It's about an incomplete feeling your mind hasn't yet learned to close. Something specific happens inside people who ruminate frequently. Social feedback gets processed with unusually high stakes, almost disproportionate to the moment. If early relationships felt unpredictable or approval felt conditional, the brain learns to monitor social interactions with heightened, persistent vigilance afterward. Every conversation becomes something worth reviewing carefully, in case a missed signal reveals disapproval, danger, or a relationship quietly shifting. This creates a mind that treats ambiguous exchanges as unfinished threats requiring resolution, rather than simply ordinary, forgettable daily moments. The replaying serves an original function, extracting every possible lesson, preparing you better for whatever comes next in future interactions. In theory, this sounds useful. In practice, the same 5 seconds get analyzed repeatedly, producing diminishing insight and mounting distress instead. One detail from the explanation deserves a second look now, because it changes how this pattern actually needs to be understood. The unfinished business feeling driving these replays isn't really about the conversation. It's about an old, deeper need for certainty and safety. As an adult, this often shows up as replaying professional interactions, family conflicts, even brief small talk with someone barely known at all. You may notice certain people trigger this far more than others, often people whose approval once felt genuinely, meaningfully conditional somehow. The replaying can intensify during periods of stress, when the mind searches urgently for something, anything that feels controllable and fixable. Ironically, the more significant the relationship, the more replay-prone the conversations involving it tend to become over time. This creates a specific kind of exhaustion, mentally relitigating conversations that concluded long ago with people who've likely forgotten them entirely. There's the moment when someone lies awake replaying a work meeting, convinced a single sentence revealed something damaging about their competence. Picture the one who remembers verbatim an argument from a decade earlier, while the other person involved barely recalls it happening at all. Somewhere in this is the person who mentally drafts the perfect comeback, hours after a conversation, to someone who's already moved entirely on. There's the friend who replays a joke that maybe landed wrong, analyzing every possible interpretation, certain everyone secretly noticed and judged it. Picture the employee who reviews a performance conversation nightly, searching each phrase for hidden meaning that likely was never actually intended. Somewhere in this is the partner who replays a disagreement for days, rehearsing an explanation nobody has actually asked them to give. There's the person who remembers exact wording from a breakup years later, still occasionally testing different responses that would change nothing now. Picture the one who replays a childhood exchange with a parent, decades old, still searching it for an explanation that never quite arrives. Somewhere in this is the student who relives an awkward classroom moment for years, certain everyone else remembers it as vividly as they do. There's the person whose mind returns to a compliment they deflected badly, replaying it, wishing they'd simply managed to say thank you. Picture the one who rehearses an apology for something small, years old, to someone who likely never registered it as anything significant. Somewhere in this is the quiet exhaustion of being the only person still attending a conversation everyone else has already left completely. Something mentioned earlier deserves another look now, because it changes the picture entirely. This replaying reflects genuine, careful social intelligence. People who ruminate this precisely are often extraordinarily attuned to nuance, tone, subtext, the small signals most people never even register. That sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's the exact skill that makes someone remarkably perceptive, careful, and genuinely thoughtful in relationships generally. The problem isn't the sensitivity itself. The problem is that the analysis never receives a clear, defined stopping point once finished. Here's the reframe worth genuinely sitting with. Your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's simply searching for closure using the only tool available. That tool, repetition, was never actually designed to produce closure. It was designed to extract lessons, then release the material afterward. Somewhere along the way, the releasing part stopped happening reliably, leaving only the repetition running endlessly, without its intended conclusion. This means the goal was never becoming a person who stops noticing social nuance. That noticing is genuinely valuable, worth actually keeping. The goal is teaching your mind a different way to close the loop, one that doesn't require infinite, exhausting repetition to function. So where does this actually begin to shift? It starts with naming the replay when it happens, rather than getting pulled straight in. It means asking directly, is there genuinely new information here, or is this simply the same 5 seconds running again? It means practicing a deliberate closing statement afterward. This happened I learned what I could, and it's now allowed to rest. It means writing particularly persistent conversations down once, fully, then treating the page itself as the actual designated stopping point. It means noticing which specific people trigger this most, and gently questioning why their opinion still carries such disproportionate, ongoing weight. It means allowing some conversations to remain genuinely unresolved, understanding that not every interaction requires a fully completed, tidy ending. This pattern once helped you learn quickly, adapt carefully, and survive uncertain social terrain. It was resourceful, sharp, and genuinely necessary. You don't need to stop noticing nuance. You simply need a reliable way to set each conversation down once it's finished teaching you. The replaying was never really about that specific conversation. It was about a mind still searching for a form of safety. That safety was never actually going to arrive through repetition. It arrives through deciding, deliberately, that a moment is finally complete. Because the conversation ended a long time ago, the only thing still keeping it open all this time was your own unfinished search.